Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Teacher Mina, your science teacher for today. Good day again, young scientists. How are you today? Sounds great. Are you ready for our lesson? Very good. Now, if you are ready, make sure that you are with your pen, notebook, a copy of your grade 7 science modules, and find a comfortable place where you can write down your answer. Okay? For today's lesson for Science 7, Week 1, Quarter 1, we are going to tackle about scientific investigation. But before that, let me give you the objective of this lesson. At the end of this video lesson, the students are expected to describe the components of scientific investigation. Now class, before we go further with our lesson, let me tell you something about scientists. Scientists are like detectives. Why? Because they are using scientific investigation in order to develop models and explanations for the world around them. Now, what is scientific investigation? Scientific investigation is a quest to find the answer to a question using the scientific method. What is scientific method? Scientific method is a logical series of steps used to solve a problem. It is like a ladder, a step-by-step processes. Remember that when using scientific method, you have to follow its steps or procedures in order to get an accurate answer. Now, let us try to dig deeper of the components and the step-by-step processes of a scientific method. The 5 components of scientific method are observation, problem, hypothesis, methods, and results. Scientific method has steps to follow, and these are the following: statement of the problem, observation and research, formulate a hypothesis, experiment, collect and analyze results, drawing a conclusion, and the last one is communicate the results. Now, what is statement of the problem? In this step, you are going to develop a question that can be solved through experimentation. Now, how are you going to do that? Of course, you have to understand what is a hot question. Hot question stands for higher order thinking and skills. Now, this HATS question is referred to as the ability to apply, analyze, synthesize, reason, comprehend, and evaluate. If the question has the ability to reason, analyze, synthesize, comprehend, and evaluate, then that is a good question. Now, let us proceed with the second step of scientific method, which is do an observation and background research. In this step, you are going to make observation and research your topic of interest. In doing an observation, you are going to use your 5 senses like sight, smell, touch, taste, and hearing. Observation consists of receiving knowledge of the outside world through our senses, or recording information using scientific tools and instruments. Any data recorded during an experiment are called observation. Now we have 2 types of observation. The first one is qualitative observations, and the second one is quantitative observations. Qualitative observations are based on characteristics and use your 5 senses to observe the results. For example, Alinor is tall. In this case, we are only describing the height of Alinor without measurement. While in quantitative observations, these are based on the amount with instruments such as rulers, balances, graduated cylinders, beakers, and thermometers. Now these results are quantifiable or measurable. For example, Alinor is 5 feet tall. In this case, we are describing the height of Alinor, indicating his measured height, which is the 5 feet tall. Now, how do we do a background research? Of course, in doing a background research, you have to anchor and connect your questions to your investigation. There are many ways to do a background research. First, you can have ideas and options using the school library. Second, you can do research using the internet like Google. And lastly, you can ask questions to a person that is knowledgeable of your problem. In that way, it will be easier for you to understand how to do your research. Okay, let us proceed with the third step of scientific method, which is to formulate a hypothesis. In this step, you are going to predict a possible answer to the problem or question. Now, what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is referred to as an educated or intelligent guess or a proposed answer to the problem. Now, let us proceed with the experiment. In experiment, you are going to develop and follow a procedure, and it includes a detailed materials list. And the outcome must be countable. Now, why do we need to perform an experiment? Of course, to test the hypothesis, if it is true or false. In doing an experiment, not all the times that your procedure could work. Sometimes it could not work. But that is how an experiment done. Now, what if the procedures are not working? Of course, you have to troubleshoot the procedure and carefully check all the steps and setup used in the experiment. Now, if the procedures are working, you can now proceed to the fifth step of scientific method, which is to collect and analyze results. In this step, you are going to modify the procedures if needed. Confirm the results by retesting, and the data recorded or collected during an experiment can be represented by a graph, tables, and photographs. That's quite hard and complicated, but don't you worry, young scientist. It is not complicated as long as you have to remember that in analyzing data, you need to focus to your problem, focus to your hypothesis, and always remember your target. And now, let us proceed with the sixth step of scientific method, which is drawing a conclusion. In this step, you are going to include a statement that accepts or rejects the hypothesis that depends on the data recorded, and make recommendations for further study and possible improvements to the procedure. Now, how do we draw a conclusion? So let me help you, young scientist. First, you are going to start with the sentence pattern, therefore, and then add your sentence. For example, therefore, sunlight is more effective in growing pea plants than artificial light. So in this statement, we are using the word therefore. And now, let us proceed with the final and the last step of scientific method, which is communicate the results. In this step, you are going to present or publish the results of your experiment. It is very important to communicate the results of our study. Why? to find the solutions to problem by knowing the results of other scientists' experiment. Communicating your result is often the first step to clearly identifying a problem and beginning to think about possible solutions. Now, how do we do that? Of course, we have to share these ideas. This is the time that we have to discuss the things that we did and the things that did not work during the experiment. And now, we are done with some components of scientific investigation. This time, let me give you a short recap. Scientific investigation is used by most scientists to discover the world around them. It is also a quest to find the answer to a question using the scientific method. Scientific method is a logical series of steps used to solve a problem. It is like a ladder, a step-by-step processes. Scientific method has 7 steps. The first step is statement of the problem. The second step is do an observation and background research. The third step is formulate a hypothesis. The fourth step is do an experiment. The fifth step is collect and analyze results. The sixth step is draw a conclusion. And the last step is you have to communicate the results. Again, those are the steps of scientific method. And now, young scientists, are you ready to perform an activity? Very good. Now, if you are ready, let us answer the activity number 1. Hello, learners! In this activity number 1, you are going to list down the steps of the scientific method according to its order. You are given 10 seconds to answer the given problem. Your time starts now. Time is up. And the answer for this is... And now, if your answer is the same with this, then congratulations! And now, let us proceed to activity number 2. In this activity, you are going to scramble the letters to match the words to their meanings. And you are given 10 seconds to answer this. Your time starts now. Time is up. Okay, the answer for question number 1 is problem. For question number 2, the answer is hypothesis. For question number 3, the answer is observation. For question number 4, the answer is conclusions. For question number 5, the answer is experiment. Now, young scientist, if your answer is the same with this, then congratulations! Thank you for watching, young scientist. I hope you learned something from this video lesson. Bye-bye!